same time.
You look like a sexy Jehovah's Witness.
Look at
Where's the watchtower, brother? Because I'm looking.
Feels so good.
2020 is a brand new decade. Numerologically, it means a lot. And one of the things that I would say also is that during the Apotheosis seminar, I'm going to give you guys 7 to 10 rituals that you can utilize to bring in 100 years of Ashe into a 10-year period. Would you guys like that? Good. Make sure that you're present. The Apotheosis seminar will be giving some very rare gems and jewels that will make it easier for you in your conscious mind, most cursory levels, to perceive becoming a god. And I don't mean the 5% nation. I don't mean some of these arrogant people who pontificate that they are gods, but they are still in human form and couldn't summon lightning or cause a time loop or a time rip or anything that a god would be able to do. It is important for humans to realize their positioning in the grand scheme of creation. That is one of the very first formations of beginning to build a real powerful sovereign consciousness, is being honest and earnest about what you are and who you are and what's available to you that you can utilize and you will be willing to utilize to overturn the ravages of some of your limitation. All right, keep getting those likes up, guys. We want to get them up a little bit more. The first question comes from Amy L. Burgess. How you doing, Amy L? Happy New Year's to you and your son. Always good. You asked some really good questions, Amy L. You know, I'm going to comp you into the love seminar, okay? I want you to be present, and I will allow you to bring a guest who is a non-Galightican. So, Jennifer and Rosina, I want you to put Amy L. Burgess on the list for the love seminar. Okay, so he asks, when people have recordings and wake up from their recordings, does the event continue even though a part of you has returned into your body? And can you go back to it where you left off or where you are currently at? That's a really good question. And yes, we like to call recordings, for people who may not be familiar with our Galighticus jargon. By the way, guys, it's pronounced Galighticus, not Galacticus. Just wanted to make that clear. When you have a recording that is ongoing, I'm going to tell you the difference between a dream and a recording. So the difference between a dream and a recording is this. A dream is mostly part of your imagination. It is also part of your subconscious undealt with issues. All throughout the day, there are things that you don't fully give your attention to. But that actual interface is not something that just goes uncounted. It is stored somewhere. That is in your subconscious. So a lot of times what happens is that during the nighttime, when you go to sleep or whenever you take a nap, those file cabinets will come open. And some of the things that are part of your imagination and part of the things that you have not really fully considered with your full rationality, but you wanted to store it for later on, you'll create a dream and you'll look at it there. And you will also be multitasking because your body will be at rest. So you'll consider and look at the data, and you'll do a comparative study, and you'll line it up with certain other things, and you'll make certain decisions about how you will deal with the situation. It may also inform how you deal with someone the very next day. And this is what a dream is. A recording is the actual witnessing, and it's literally a recording of something that you are doing on another dimensional, whether it is parallel dimension or an upper dimension, hopefully not a lower dimension. You don't want that. And it is an action, a series of actions that you participate in a life that belongs to you. This is the reason why, if you have to get up and run to the bathroom, or if you have to change position and the transmission of that recording breaks and you temporarily become fully conscious, you can go back directly into that portal and re-engage a recording. You cannot do that with something that is an imaginative dalliance. And that, my friends, is the difference between a recording and a dream. So, yes, you want to have more recordings than dreams. It's another thing. If most of your nighttime activity is comprised of dreams that you don't remember, you are in trouble. I had to say it. You want to get to a point where you can at least remember that you had recordings. If you're one who says, I don't dream, it's something to be concerned about, because it is an indicator as to how far you are off of the trail and the completion of what you are supposed to be doing and being on purpose, or as some people would say, purpose. We could talk a little bit more about that in apotheosis if necessary. All right. So thank you for that question, Emil. Our next question comes from Officer Tom Hadnot, the Electric Wizard. How's it going, Tom? Happy New Year to you. And yes, I have your stuff ready. Make sure you have my box, Tom. I'm looking forward to that. All right. So, do current relatives' karma and debt add on to ancestral lineage debt? In a way, it does. There are different kinds of karma. There is collective karma that belongs to an entire bloodline. There is also individual karma. Individual karma is what supports you and belongs only to you. What happens is there are a lot of people that ask me, well, Oprah Winfrey is not into spirituality. Why does she have all of this money? You don't really know what Oprah Winfrey is into. But hypothetically, let's just say that Oprah Winfrey, she's had Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle, and Deepak Chopra on her show. She does have, and this is hypothetically speaking, right? She does have a notion of higher spiritual cognition, for lack of a better term. We don't know what Oprah Winfrey's ancestors had to endure in order to guarantee that their ascendants, which would be Oprah Winfrey, but it's called descendant, right? We don't know what they put in place. We don't know what kind of prayers they put in motion. We don't know what kind of ritual ancestors had in alignment with. There are so many different incomparable variables that go into how and why someone is doing so good or so bad. So what we want to do is look at someone's situation, but deal with your own issues. Deal with your own set of reality and study that. Don't match your reality against someone else's, because you don't have the full wisdom to know what their lineages on both sides were involved in. However, it would be more expedient for you to utilize all of the things that you know that are available to you, instituted into your life, so that you can have the best results, if that makes sense. Another part of your question, Tom, is that when there are issues in the lineage that are not addressed, what happens is sometimes those issues can create a curse that demands that the living look at. If you look at somebody like, let's say, Whitney Houston, and her daughter, Bobby Christina. They died in the same way. And I think Bobby Christina's boyfriend actually passed recently from a drug overdose, and he was, I believe, present. And if you look at the trilogy of death, that is something that is not always a curse that someone put on them. It also may be something that is a continuum of an issue, a certain issue that the ancestors demand be looked at. And we can talk more about that. But the bottom line, Tom, and anyone else, is that when you're dealing with ancestors, it is important to understand that the Egungun, aka your ancestors, they have a lot of power in and over your life. You are responsible for being in the body that they let you borrow. You have their genes, you have their talents, you have their looks, you have their hopes. You have a lot of things that are inside of the DNA of your body that do not belong to you. They were there before you existed. They also help you to pick and choose some of the things that you are destined to experience. But unfortunately, more than 75% of the 7.5 billion people who are on the planet right now are not reaching completion of what their destiny was written out to be. That also causes lots of things to go awry. And that's why I'm here, to help people to get back on board with what their purpose is. All right. So I hope that answers your question, Tom. Our third question comes from Amiel Burgess again. 2 for 1. That's pretty good, Amiel. And Amiel asks, if you're a fallen angel, how do you regain your wings and light and heart back? Well, fallen angels don't always lose their wings, and all angels don't have wings. Some of them do. But let's deal with your particular question. If you're a fallen angel, you have to be completely disassociated from the fact that you are actually an angel before you can begin to reawaken the divinity of who you actually are. And there are a very specific set of things that have to be done or could be done. One of them is that you have to fully settle into the humanity of your body. If you are successful at sacrificing your life with no equivocation, with 100% of your consciousness, you will begin to regain part of your angelic identity to the tune of maybe 10 to 30%. This is not up to the angelic being. This will be up to a council that presides over the affairs of the angels from galaxy to galaxy. And that's how it works. Also, if you look at fallen angels, there are some fallen angels on the planet. I've said this before. The same is also true to gods. And some of you are going to be very upset with me. And that's okay. I'm used to that. 99% of the time, if you are an angelic being, you're not walking around thinking, am I an angel? Yes, I'm an angel. I can tell. It doesn't work that way. Most of the time, you have absolutely no inclination that you are an angelic being or a god. Most of the time. And when I say most of the time, I mean 9 out of 10 times, maybe 9.5 out of 10 times, you are not aware. Most people who think they are an angel or a god, they're thinking that for other reasons that are usually egoic. And if you look at those people, don't have much to support why they think that outside of something that is a desperate attempt for them to gain some kind of acceptance. If you are a god and you don't know it, I'm going to show you how. They will let you know. The spiritual world will knock on the door of your consciousness. They will let you know. If they see that you're not answering the door and you're not listening, they'll send somebody else. Now, that brings me to another point. There are certain people out there who are busy telling people that they are angelic beings or gods, and they are doing so indiscriminately. This kind of foolishness has to stop. The heavens will illustrate and give you all of the proof that you need to validate the fact that you are a god or an angel, if you in fact are. I don't want to hear anything about your divining system, because that's coming from you. It needs to be proven through the outer circumstance of your reality. It is something that you will be able to see. I see there's a lot of comments being stricken down. Uh-oh. So if you are a divine being, if you are a celestial being, it will be something that is pretty simple to prove. And it can't be from your own head, can't be from your own ego. It's that simple. There's a lot more that I could say about that. And for those of you who are just now getting on, also, for everyone who comes to the Apotheosis Seminar, I'm going to give you the opportunity to gain 100 years of Ashe in 10 short years. Let's look at that. 10 years goes by really fast. And for those of you who think that 10 years is a long time, it is less than a blink of an eye. It is less than a nanosecond in the grand scheme of things. 10 years will get away from you real fast. So why not plan for it? Why not take the opportunity to draw into your consciousness and benefit 100 years worth in a short span of 10 years? It is possible. Some of you will get 1,000 years in 10 short years. That also is possible. For those of you who attended the Codex seminar, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. You guys have over 10,000 years of power at your fingertips. All of you who came to the Sequence of Power Codex seminar, you have 100,000 years of evolution in your arsenal. How is that, Sri Master Gano Grills? That's not possible. Let me share it with you. For those of you who came to the Sequence of Power seminar, you have in your arsenal things that are 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th dimensional power. This planet is not slated to go into even the 5th dimension the way that it's looking now. This planet can be stuck here on the 3rd dimension for another 400 years easily. I want you guys to know that there are ways of quickening and accelerating your consciousness to a grand degree, but it's going to cost you. It may cost you a little, it may cost you a lot, but it will cost you. I got that from the Martin Lawrence show. You guys know that episode. It was hilarious. We have another question that comes from Wali Muhammad on Facebook. And Wali Muhammad asks, when we look out into space, are we looking inside the mind of the Creator? Definitely not. We wouldn't be able to see the Creator if we tried. A lot of people have, again, very grandiose delusions of grandeur about the universe is telling them something. How can you handle the power of the universe when you wouldn't be able to handle your girlfriend nagging you in the ear, let alone an entire building being turned all the way up? Imagine if a building had the consciousness to talk to you. You would go deaf. Let's say an entire state. the geographic landmass of an entire state talking to you, you'd go instantly insane. But what about a country? Forget about a state, an entire country. Can you imagine if a country wanted to talk to you about something? You'd probably disintegrate. A country is a pretty big span of acres and miles. Let's go to a planet, little small planet. The consciousness of a planet talking to your little brain. Let's stop espousing these esoteric colloquialisms that give us an over grandiose identity, because the universe is not caring about who you are as an individual. Let's turn that dynamic around. And I don't mean to browbeat or diminish the opulence of who you all are. But if we give ourselves a reality check, we're more able to access some of the locality of what's available to us. Doesn't that make sense? We can't even get off our own planet. A lot of you guys don't even have a car. How do you know what's out there in the entirety of the expanse of the universe? How would you be able to navigate, let alone thinking that something that is 300 light years to get to is trying to talk to you, but yet you'll ignore your own backyard or some of the opportunity for you to go into the wilderness and seek some of that power that's local to you and available and quite useful if you're open to it. Doesn't that make sense? Can you imagine someone getting on a motorcycle and riding it, 3 up, 2 down, whatever it is? This is what people pontificate when they say things like, the universe told me, or they're really good in Christianity with this, the Christianites. How you doing, guys? Well, Jesus woke me up this morning and God told me this. What did God tell you? I'm just wondering. Alec asks, how do we know if we currently have any negative or malefic beings around and or in us? That's a really good question, Alec. If you suspect that you have malefic disturbance or entities around you, it's important that you gain some kind of connection to the spiritual world. There are things that people do and can do sexually, they can do with their own recklessness that lower the defense shield of their aura. And when you do that and your auric field becomes impaired, you become habitable. You become a prime candidate for cohabitation. You're basically opening up your apartment for somebody to come and live with you. And for all of you who've had somebody overstay their welcome, you know what that feels like. More likely than not, you will see that they don't cast a shadow. The shadow will not be black, it will be gray or neon. Look for that. Look at their countenance. Animals respond very violently to people who have lots of entities inside of them. Certain animals will try to attack you and devour you because they see very clearly that you have an entity inside of you. If someone is eating ravenously, a lot of people who have morbid obesity, unfortunately, are eating for more than 15 people. If you look at people who like to frequent these eating contests where they'll scarf down 100 hot dogs in record timing, those people most of the time have cohabitation. They have entities living inside of them. Doesn't that make sense? This is the reason why if you look at a lot of these really petite, small Asian ladies, there is an epidemic on Facebook, or there was a few months ago, where you saw these huge, big vats of food. And this little tiny Asian lady would consume all of it ravenously. Do you think that she was doing that alone? No. She had hungry, ravenous spirits who were once in a human body that don't have a place to live except inside of you. And they're still hungry. They're still thirsty. They're still wanting to have drugs and sex and all of the things that they've had in the body. But when they're not in their own body, those desires get more pronounced. They actually amplify. And when they find someone who has elicited their presence to come and live inside of me, Now you will be a tool for them. And again, when you have divine representation, when you have spiritual protection, when you have some kind of alignment to certain gods, this does not happen. It happens a lot less. It is an invitation for people to become a dirty cesspool when you are not aware and responsible with all that you do.